Hello and welcome back to AWS reInvent. We are here streaming live from the Venetian in the Sands Expo Hall. My name is Nikki, I'm a technical evangelist for AWS, and I'm joined by Richard, Ben, and Shalop. They are from the AWS cryptography team, here to talk about what they launched on Monday. But before we get into the launch, why don't you guys go ahead and briefly introduce yourselves and tell us what it is that you do for AWS.
Sure, hi, I'm Richard Molds. So I'm the product manager for the Key Management Service, KMS.
Hi, I'm Benjamin Grubin. I'm a general manager in AWS Cryptography, responsible for CloudHSM.
And I'm Shalop Goel. I'm group product manager at Box.
So, before we talk about the launch, can you tell us what key management is and why has it traditionally been so difficult for our customers? And why it's important?
So when you think about key management, you think about encryption. Everybody's focused on protecting access to their data right now. The law requires it in most places. Encryption has become a very tangible way of controlling access to data. You encrypt data with the secret key, and only the folks that have access to that secret key can decrypt that data. So it's a very simple, tangible control mechanism. Somebody accessing data not only needs to be able to get hold of the data in the first place through your normal identity access management systems, but they also need to be able to access the key itself. So it provides that second layer, it's a fundamental layer. Even if somebody can steal the physical media, get their hands on the disk, they still can't get access without access to the key. So key management therefore becomes the big deal. What you've really done is shifted the focus from stealing data to stealing the key. So you now need to control access to that key. And historically that's been a huge challenge. At scale across an enterprise, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I guess there's three reasons why key management's difficult. The first, the obvious thing is that these are secrets, right? If somebody gets their hand on the secrets, then they break the encryption, they get access to the data, and you haven't really achieved anything. So companies are not very good at keeping secrets, because secrets are in use all day long as part of transactions. The second is, encryption's all over an enterprise, file encryption, database encryption, storage encryption, email encryption, so it's a very fragmented subject. Key management for all of those systems has traditionally been very different policies, different controls, so that becomes a pain very quickly. And then there's audit. How do you prove who accessed a key? How do you prove they did something with it? So all of those things stack up, and as people add more and more encryption across their enterprise, more and more workloads, that just gets worse and worse and worse. Millions of keys trying to protect secrets, big problem.
So how does the existing KMS service address these challenges for customers today?
So it really tackles those three challenges. So it's a hardened service.
Yeah.
We use physically dedicated machines to protect this key material, so it's safe. They're called hardware security modules. We'll talk more about that later. So it's a physically resilient service.
Right.
It makes sure you never lose a key, because it's not just about protecting the secrecy of the key, it's about making sure you don't lose the key, because if you lost the key, you lost all your data, so that's a major problem. The second thing we dealt with is consistency. So there's 100+ services in AWS that encrypt data, and more than half of them use key management system, KMS, to secure and manage those keys. So we bring consistency. So if you're doing encryption in S3, you're doing encryption in RDS, you're doing encryption in EC2,
KMS.
all the keys being managed in one place, one pane of glass, one set of policy controls, and one set of audits.
That's really convenient.
So centralization and security and audit. That's really what we provide.
It's really important for our customers. So what did you launch on Monday?
So we launched a new feature called Custom Key Store.
Ooh.
Which sounds fantastic.
Anything with the word custom in it, I'm excited immediately. So
the word custom implies you're somehow going off piste. You're somehow doing something a little bit special. And there's a good reason for that. So some customers need extra controls over how their keys are protected and how their keys are managed. Now almost all customers at KMS, hundreds of thousands of customers, are perfectly happy with the way we manage keys. And that's, in fact, they really want us to manage the keys. Managing keys is a perilous process. So we manage the keys, we keep them safe, we keep them available, we let the customer focus on how those keys are going to be used. The customer focuses on the policy, we focus on managing the keys. But some customers out there, regulated industries, folks in banks, folks in governments, they have mandates that come from decades of use of hardware devices, security management systems, on-premise. And those mandates say, thou shalt control the keys that you are using in your enterprise.
Like you have to create these keys and you need full control of them.
Or even more, you have to be able to physically touch the devices that these things live in. It's hands-on. So they look at KMS although we manage the keys in a secure, scalable fashion, they say, you know what, that doesn't quite cut it for us because KMS is in control of those keys, not us. So custom key store is a feature that allows the customer, we essentially hand over some of that control back to the customer so they can satisfy their traditional enterprise mandates, which means they can then move workloads into AWS that would otherwise be prevented from doing so.
So this really opens AWS up to a whole new set of customers that can now use KSM.
KMS.
KMS, sorry.
So it gives customers more choice. So customers today can move data and workloads into AWS that KMS satisfies the controls for.
Right.
Now they have other workloads that have historically had to stay in the enterprise, or you have to change your compliance mandates, which is extremely difficult and slow.
Right.
So this allows those workloads to come into the cloud. So we created this feature by integrating with another AWS service called CloudHSM.
CloudHSM. So what does this mean for existing customers of CloudHSM and KMS?
Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, Ben, why don't you explain what CloudHSM
Sure, why don't we
is?
start with what is CloudHSM, just for anyone that isn't quite sure.
What is CloudHSM? Yes.
So CloudHSM is actually the way we provide what's called hardware security modules, or these dedicated hardware devices that store cryptographic keys to customers on the AWS platform. And really what they're used to do is to satisfy compliance and regulatory needs for customers, as Richard touched on, that need to use these hardware security modules, which are fairly standard in the industry, what they do and what they protect,
right.
To protect their keys. And what CloudHSM does is it elevates the hardware security module into a true cloud managed service. So it allows customers to use these devices, which are traditionally very hard to use, traditionally very operations heavy, traditionally very complicated, to be much easier to automatically scale, automatically be backed up, and present a more consistent user interface. So that's what CloudHSM is. In terms of what this does for our customers, previously customers really had to choose between the compliance and the regulatory guarantees that were guaranteed by CloudHSM,
right.
And the flexibility, the scalability, and the integration that KMS offered. And this really eliminates that need to choose. You can now get both by using KMS, which is a much better interface, right? HSMs are legacy interfaces that have existed for many years. KMS is a modern cloud-based service, but still get the guarantees of being on a FIPS 140-2 validated appliance that the customer alone controls in their own virtual private cloud.
It's incredible. So we also have a partner here with us today from Box, which is awesome because if you've seen Live with Am and Nikki, my other half came from Box to AWS. So let me ask you a question. So how are you guys planning to use this new feature, and why are you excited about it for your customers?
Sure. So at Box, we are going to use this feature in the context of our product KeySafe. So what KeySafe does is really it provides our customers independent control of managing their encryption keys while their data resides in Box. So customers can control their own keys in case they are required by compliance or by their own contractual requirements to their end customers. With this feature, we will use our existing integration with KMS and provide our customers an option now to choose either to keep their keys in the regular or standard KMS key storage system or in the custom key store. Now there are certain customers that want to keep and they want to make sure they have good control over the keys, and they want to keep it in a dedicated private tenant hardware. And that's where CloudHSM comes in as a custom key store. Now it's very exciting to our customers because specifically from two aspects. One is this is the first time when Box will be providing this feature to our customers where they can use the next generation CloudHSMs. That gets rid of a lot of operational complexities. For example, availability is taken care of. The backups used to be pretty hard. So backups are automated now with S3. So a lot of these operational complexities that Ben referred are generally associated with hardware security modules are taken care of. Second part is when we directly integrated with classic HSMs, customers had to open certain ports for us. They need to give us some information on their networking, and whenever they scale them, they need to talk to us. So that part of complexity is taken care of automatically, and it's kind of masked from us. And in this context, ignorance is really bliss.
It's awesome. Really excited for your customers. We're getting a lot of questions from our viewers. So let's see, Tester Rectal asks, there are a lot of people moving to HashiCorp Vault. How do you see AWS Secrets Management ecosystem in comparison to HashiCorp Vault?
We've actually worked very closely with HashiCorp. We like the Vault product. We use it. It's integrated with CloudHSM, in fact. The AWS Secrets Management product is also a fantastic product. It lets you manage secrets and has integration across so many other AWS services like RDS to be able to automatically rotate your secrets for you. So we love both products. It's a question of whether you're going after the integration that AWS Secrets Manager offers. But we've used HashiCorp Vault and we think it's great.
So they work in conjunction. Tester Rectal has another question. How does AWS look at storing secrets other than keys, such as database passwords, application secrets, etc.?
That's actually the same answer. It's AWS Secrets Manager does that. It will automatically rotate passwords for database secrets in supported databases, allows you to use the power and flexibility, just like KMS does, of using identity and access management policy and controls to very granularly decide who gets access to what keys or what secrets in the case of Secrets Manager. And so it provides a really nice, tightly integrated way to manage both sides of that coin, the secrets that are keys and the secrets that are sort of credentials for other services.
That's right, and KMS, in addition to being a key management service, is also an encryption service.
Right.
So if you have an application and you have a particular set of credentials or particular chunks of data.
Application keys.
Right, you can send them to KMS and we'll encrypt them under your master keys and send them back. So it's an encryption service as well as a key management service.
So you could use it for both. So how does this feature fit into the bigger picture of protecting sensitive data in AWS that Andy Jassy mentioned yesterday in his keynote?
Well, he did a lot of comparison points between AWS and other cloud providers.
He did.
Yeah, he did, which he normally does, which is great. But one of the points he touched on first was security and the degree to which you can encrypt your data. Obviously, one of the primary concerns any organization thinking about moving to the cloud is, how do I know my data is safe? It's no longer in my data center.
Right.
I can't touch it anymore. Somebody else is in control of it. So how do I believe that data is safe? So encryption is a huge requirement for all cloud services. Arguably, without encryption, then the whole notion of cloud computing would be, a complete bust.
Right.
So, but encryption is not a simple binary decision in whether you encrypt data or not. As I said before, it's all about how do you manage these keys. Some people want a completely hands-off approach. Some people want to be able to check their box to say, my S3 bucket's encrypted,
I did it.
I'm done. That's all I care about. And for the large chunk of data in AWS, that's just fine. Some customers want to go one stage further and say, you know what, I want to see the keys that are being used to encrypt my data. I don't necessarily want to go through the hassle of managing the policy, but I at least want to see the keys and track when they're being used. So KMS allows you to do that, S3 allows you to do that. Some customers want to go one step further, get into very granular policies. This person and on this day, from this IP address, can access this bit of objects.
I want to have all control.
That's right. And then what we're launching this week, on Monday, custom key stores, is for the customers that want to go even one stage further and say, not only do I want to manage policy on these keys, but I want to physically control the devices that actually store and protect these keys. So it's great that Andy's talking about encryption. Encryption is a much richer subject than just what algorithm am I using and is my data encrypted or not. It's about how rich an approach do you want to take in terms of key management.
That granularity of control.
Yeah, and it's because in an organization, think about, there's most of the data in an organization is quite mundane.
Right.
Some of the data is incredibly valuable.
Yes.
So not all data is the same, and therefore not all encryption is the same, and not all key management is the same. It's all about choice, and this integration is about extending that choice to customers.
That's awesome. A couple more questions from the viewers. Let's see, Grizax asked, how does this, I think we answered that one already. Luis asks, what is the best way to have a trusted key entry to CloudHSM from an on-premise HSM?
So that's a fantastic question. I'm sorry I didn't catch the name because of the noise, but
Luis AIZ.
Yeah, that's a great question. So a lot of customers, and this touches actually on what Richard was just talking about, how Andy's really talking about how do you extend the trust that you've got in your on-premise systems into the cloud, into AWS, and cryptography really is the key to doing that. And I think that's why Andy's all in on cryptography, and that's why we're all in on cryptography. It's the one way to absolutely guarantee that your data is protected no matter what happens. And when you already have systems on premise, like HSMs with keys in them, we try to make it as easy as possible for you to bring those keys from your ecosystem into our ecosystem. And in general, KMS has supported this for quite some time, I think in the order of a year or two for import key. Right. To be able to bring an external key that either was in an HSM or generated elsewhere on premise into the KMS system. We will continue to support that capability through the integration, where you can import keys that end up on the HSM, as well as the ability to import your keys directly into the HSM if you use CloudHSM directly. Now, the challenge there is that existing HSM vendors have not always made this easy for you to do. And so what you sometimes have to do is struggle a little bit to figure out how to get your key out of your HSM.
Right.
We make it as easy as possible to put the key into our systems. But in many cases, some customers do need to think about if the HSM is configured in such a way not to let that key come out, which is possible.
Right.
How do you think about rotating those keys to allow you to move to a new key in a new key store, all right, while keeping all of your data integrity intact? And we can absolutely help customers with that problem.
That's awesome.
If they come and reach out to us, we have solutions architects, professional services, and our service teams that absolutely are happy to help try to figure that out for you.
Happy to help you with that then. Another question here from RePancake. How hard is it to integrate KMS with other AWS services? For example, if I want to encrypt messages in SQS using user keys or encrypt data in Dynamo using user keys. You did mention that KMS integrates with other AWS services.
Yeah, in fact, more than virtually all services support encryption.
So how hard is it to do?
It's very easy.
It's very easy.
So obviously, more than half the services integrate directly with KMS. So most customers, when they choose to encrypt in Dynamo or in S3, they don't even need to know that those keys are being stored in KMS. So you can check a box to say, encrypt everything that goes into this bucket, or encrypt everything that goes into this table, or encrypt a volume in EBS. It's just checking a box. As I said, you can...
Simple as checking a box.
Right, and so these days when a new service launches on AWS, it's now mandatory that they integrate with KMS.
Mandatory?
So this is,
That's pretty cool.
But it's fundamental. This is the way that
Absolutely.
the entire ecosystem needs to protect it in a consistent way.
100%.
And so the KMS service is part of the checklist for launching a new service in AWS. So it's straightforward. There are other aspects of the group that Ben and I are in that actually manage the crypto toolkits that all of the rest of Amazon and AWS use. So we provide, if you like, the endpoint, which automatically integrates back into KMS. If someone's building their own application themselves, there is an AWS Encryption SDK, a toolkit that does encryption for them. Nobody wants to write crypto software. That's a very painful and very error-prone process. So the AWS Encryption SDK does encryption for you and integrates with KMS, which now integrates with CloudHSM. So not only do you get encryption easy, you get key management easy as well.
So where can our customers go to get started with KMS and also our new feature, KMS Custom Key Stores?
The easiest way to get involved with encryption is just to go to the services that you're using and check the box to say, yes, I would like to encrypt my data, please. It's hard to think of a reason why you wouldn't do that anyway.
Yep.
Just from a sheer, ownership of data and
should all be checking that
commitment
box
to
right
customers.
now.
So you check the box, and then you have to make a decision. Do I care about managing keys, or do I not care? That's a more sophisticated decision, and that's what brings you into the universe. There's a KMS console. You can choose your policies, you can create your keys, you can define who has access to them, and now when you create a key, you can choose whether that key is created in the standard KMS key store or in the custom key store using CloudHSM.
Yeah, so Richard said that encryption is sometimes mandatory. I like to think of it as a gift. It's a gift that AWS is giving to our customers, because even if a customer doesn't choose to encrypt their data, we will encrypt it on their behalf. And that is our goal, is encryption everywhere. Encrypt, like we like to say, encrypt all the things, right? If a customer wants custom keys to protect their data, that's where KMS is rapidly increasing the number of services from the 50 plus today to hopefully every service soon that'll support doing it under a custom key. But even if not, your data will be encrypted in AWS.
It's a really nice gift.
That's how we do it.
We really appreciate that. Well, you should check out their blog post, I think, that launched on Monday with their launch. Thank you guys so much for joining me to talk about the new feature with KMS, KMS Custom Key Stores, and CloudHSM.
And Box.
Stay tuned.
Box.
And
Yeah.
Box for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thanks.
Stay
Really excited.
tuned for more content from the Launchpad live here at reInvent. Bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot.